Did you know that if you were caught in that Celsius bankruptcy mess, you might be sitting on tax savings opportunities that you didn't even realize? If you're wondering how to file these losses, or worse, if you're worried about doing it all wrong, you're in the right place. Today, we're breaking down how Canadian crypto investors can handle the Celsius bankruptcy losses for their 2024 taxes. Even if you have no idea where to start, I'm going to help make this easy and stress-free. Let's take a look at Dave. He's a Canadian crypto investor and he had 10,000 worth of Bitcoin in Celsius. When Celsius declared bankruptcy, he thought he had lost it all. In 2024, he received a partial reimbursement. Was it taxable? Can he claim it as a loss? Dave has absolutely no idea. And that's why I'm going to show you in this video how you can understand the regulations around this. Did you have a reimbursement from Celsius this year in 2024? Share in that comments and let me know how you plan on. So what does the CRA say about filing losses? Where there's some key options for how you can report the loss. For most Canadians, you're likely going to claim the Celsius loss as a capital loss, which can offset against future capital gains in the same year or in future years. If you happen to use, if your crypto is defined as a business investment loss, then you will claim it as that, and you will need to check the Canadian regulations on how to claim that as a business investment loss. Now let's take a quick look at something called rebase, trade, or trend. This is how the CRA is going to treat a Celsius reimbursement. So what is a rebase? A rebase happens when the reimbursement is treated as a return of capital instead of giving you profits or new assets. The Celsius repayment reduces the value of your. How does this affect your taxes? It reduces your adjusted cost base, your ACB, and the value you originally paid for your crypto assets, including any fees. A reduced ACB means that you eventually sell or dispose of the asset, and your future capital gains or losses will be calculated based on the new lower ACB. I'm going to give you an example to make it easier to understand. You originally invested 10,000 in Celsius, and you received 2,000 as a reimbursement, categorized as a rebase. Your ACB for the remaining Bitcoin becomes 8,000, 10,000 minus 2,000. So when you sell that Bitcoin in the future, any gains will be calculated based on this new adjusted 8,000 ACB. What about a trade? Well, if Celsius reimburses you by giving you a different type of asset than what you originally held, reimbursing Bitcoin holders with Ethereum or some other type of token, this is treated as a trade or a disposition. So how does this affect you? Well, trades by CRA are considered a taxable event. You must report the fair market value, the FMV, of the new asset at the time of the trade as the proceeds of disposition. If the FMV of the new asset is higher or lower than the original ACB, you will report that capital gain or loss. Let's look at an example. You had 5,000 in Celsius in Ethereum. Celsius reimburses you with a different token, and it's valued at $3,500 at the time of the reimbursement. Since the fair market value of the reimbursement is lower than your original ACB, 5,000 minus 3,500, for a loss of 1,500, you're going to report that as a capital loss. There's one more way that CRA could treat your reimbursement, and that is as a transfer. So what is a transfer? A transfer occurs when Celsius reimburses you with the same type of asset you originally held. For example, if you had Bitcoin and they reimbursed you Bitcoin, this is treated as a transfer of ownership. How does it affect your taxes? Transfer isn't immediately taxable. The value of the reimbursement still needs to be recorded for tracking purposes. That way, for any future sales or dispositions of that asset will depend on your ACB, which remains tied to the original investment. An example would be you originally had 10,000 in Bitcoin with Celsius. Celsius. You don't need to pay any taxes now, but your record should reflect this transaction. Your ACB for the remaining Bitcoin is still based on the original $10,000 investment. So the key takeaways here is that Rebase impacts your future taxes by reducing your ACB, affecting how much capital gain loss you will report when you eventually sell that asset. A trade triggers a taxable event immediately, and the difference between that ACB and the FMV of the reimbursement determines your capital loss or gain. Steps to reporting your Celsius losses. First thing is you'll want to categorize your losses as capital gains or business loans. You'll want to review all your emails, get official documents, statements, notice, letters, everything from Celsius. So you'll want to make sure you have that. You'll need to also determine if you are going to be doing it as a rebase or a transfer or a trade. You'll also want to be able to understand the guidelines around how that is going to affect that possible taxable event, the ACB, or whether or not it affects how much capital gain or loss tax you could actually be owing. If you can, consult a crypto tax savvy professional who can really look at your situation and ensure that you're. And as I stated before, record keeping is so important. Keep everything, screenshots, CSVs, any documentation you have from the Celsius that you have received so that you can have it in case CRA requests any of those supporting information. One question you might have is, what if Celsius doesn't really specify? If Celsius doesn't explicitly categorize your refund, you can look at the nature of the refund. Is it the same asset? Likely a transfer. Is it a different asset or adjusted holding? Might be a trade or rebase. And you want to consider how this affects your portfolio. If it alters your adjusted cost basis without creating some kind of gain or loss, it might be a rebase. If it adds a different asset to your portfolio together, it's probably a trade. Here's a pro tip for filing. If you feel there's room for interpretation, you can report the transaction based on your understanding with supporting documents and provide explanations in your tax filing notes. This shows good faith with compliance if the CRA happens to review your submission. So tell me, what's your next step? Categorizing your losses or finding that tax professional? Let me know in the comments below. Are you feeling a little more confident about tackling those Celsius losses? I hope so. Now, if you are using Coinly or Crypto Tax Calculator or some sort of similar crypto tax software, you can still use it to calculate those losses. Although they will not be the formal record, you can use it to essentially double check and categorize all your reimbursements so that it will make it easier for filing. I'm not going to talk about how to do this, but I will link down below in the description some links to Coinly and some posts around how you can possibly categorize it in the software. Now, there's another key tax situation that trips up a lot of Canadian investors, and that's crypto gifting. In the next video, I'm going to dive in how to handle crypto gifts and whether you can claim them on your 2024 tax returns. Now, it's a must watch if you have ever given or received crypto as a gift. It is actually taxable. That's a little spoiler there. It is not tax-free, which many people still believe it is. And I also have 2 resources down below for free for you to help get you started to make your tax-free, make your 2024 tax season much more stress-free. I have a 10 most asked Canadian crypto tax questions answered and a crypto tax readiness assessment. Takes just 5 minutes and you're going to be able to see any areas that you might have some tax savings. Both of these are down below in the description. You can grab them or just message me here on my video. Till next time, I'm Charlene Tessier. I'm helping you going from tax chaos to crypto clarity.